Is it? Oh, it's live. Aha. All right. One sec. I gotta delete the other broadcast that it's scheduled because it can't figure out what to do with a bad thumbnail other than create something. So, okay. We are going to continue with Stalker 2. Dun dun dun. Um, so I got my sister's car back together, right? I did a full I don't know how many people are tracking, but I did a full fucking rebuild on a. Ooh, I like that it's purple. Did a full rebuild on the car. Um, and you know, it's probably way faster just to go here, right? And then I can. Oh wait, no, I'd have to go all the way down there. I'm going to guess this is a faster route. Anyways,
Hey, Wardens. Knock, knock.
did a full rebuild on the car, and
Did you hear that? I think
the
it's the
car was
Stalker.
misfiring,
It's hammering nails.
and
In your coffin? What?
doo doo
It's
doo.
all that.
I was
Well,
aware
this is
that
just
like
the beginning.
maybe the spark plugs or the coil packs could be bad. Wasn't too sure, but I guess I should probably explain. So what did I do? I did a full rebuild on the car because it had a cam and lifter failure. What does that mean? That means that I had to pull the intake off, pull the heads off, pull the cam out, pull the lifters out, and it needed a new cam and it needed lifters. So I did all that. I guess we don't need this, and I don't know. I really don't want to drop these, but I don't really have a need for them. Oh, they fixed the max weight thing. That's what they did. Oh, I'm like, why am I walking so slow? God damn it. So, anyways, so I did a full rebuild on the car, and it was misfiring. And I was like, well, why is it misfiring? You know, are the spark plugs bad? Because they did look like shit. Maybe the coil packs are bad, but that's kind of like, I don't know, like, car was misfiring prior, but that's due to a valve not opening because the cam's bad. So, you know, was it really the, God, I'm pissed. I really want to fucking, now I want to mod the game for the fucking max carry weight that I had. So anyways, um, yeah, like the probability that the coil packs were the problem, or even to an extent the spark plugs, is like it would have been evident prior to pulling the car apart, and the presumption was the only reason the car was misfiring prior to being pulled apart was the valve not opening because the lifter is destroying the cam lobe and the cam lobe's not pushing up on the lifter, therefore the valve's not opening. Anyways, get it all reassembled. It's misfiring. Put new coil packs on, new spark plugs, still misfiring. Trying to figure out what's going on, so I pulled the valve covers today, which of course is a bitch on a Hemi, because the fucking wiring harness is in the way. So that was real fun. And, you know, I'm checking the valves, all the valves are opening, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm like, alright, so it's not a mechanical thing, it can't be the camshaft, camshaft's not out of time. Hemis are extremely easy to time, if it's a stock cam, so I didn't degree the cam, but like you just kind of put it at the 12 o'clock position, and you put the cam at the 12 o'clock, and you put the crank, you turn it till cylinder one's at top dead center. So it's pretty idiot proof, right? And I was like, this shouldn't be an issue. And I was like, well, the car seems to run fine, and then it misfires, so it's like that doesn't really lend itself to being a mechanical issue. What the fuck was that? Oh my fucking, I'm dead. I'm dead. There's no way. It's a fucking chimera. Yep. Uh, so I figured out the stupid ass car. I hate this design. So it's got MDS, which is what, DoD on other vehicles.
Hey, Warden.
Basically, displacement on demand,
What's that loud noise, huh? Did you
MDS,
hear
multi
that?
displacement
I
system.
think it's the
It's where the car
cylinder.
goes into
They
four-cylinder
coming
mode
on
on the
the
freeway
news.
instead of
They're
burning on eight
handcuffing.
cylinders to save fuel.
What? You don't
Anyways,
like it?
I didn't realize
Well, this
the
is just the
MDS
beginning.
lifters, which collapse on the freeway to stop valve train movement so you can run the car on four cylinders. Yeah, well, I didn't realize those lifters are specific. So you're supposed to put the MDS specific lifters in certain holes on the block. I didn't realize that they were cylinder specific. So I just put the lifters in, not thinking about where they go. I didn't know they had a specific position orientation, right? Like I've built motors, but whenever you build a performance motor, you're not going to have this stupid multi-displacement setup. So in general, you can put lifters wherever. Like a lifter is not position specific. You might want to put a lifter back in the same spot you pulled it out of in terms of like keeping consistent wear on an engine, but most engines at a basic design, there's not going to be a reason for a position specifier on a lifter. Well, I didn't realize the MDS ones are specific. So, of course, I realized after having put the entire engine back together that I have to now pull it all the way apart again because you can't get at the fucking lifters unless you pull the fucking heads off. So now I'm just at this very beautiful inflection point where I get to do the job all over again because 8 of the 16 lifters are in the wrong spot, you know. And it's probably not even that. I doubt all 8 are in the wrong spot. It's probably like 3 are in the wrong spot or something dumb. Um, but I love being intelligent enough to diagnose the problem, but not intelligent enough to realize that this was going to be a foreseeable problem. You know, like, hey, how does this MDS system work? Oh, it deactivates the cylinders. What does it do? Well, the lifters collapse. Oh, okay. And I just didn't think about it. And if I thought about it, oh, okay, so there's lifters that collapse. Like I didn't realize like how are they doing that? Are all lifters collapsible? That was my presumption, but I didn't think about it. And I didn't verify and I didn't double check, and that's why I got fucking burned on this. So, only certain lifters are collapsible. So what's happening is you're driving the car and I didn't romp on it. I didn't want to, last thing you want to do is when you got a possibly hurt motor is to get on it. So anyways, I was driving around. Let's say you do about 30. You're just cruising. You're offering enough throttle input to maintain speed, but not enough to accelerate. And what it does is it tries to kick down into four-cylinder mode, at which point the car very clearly experiences a dead cylinder or two and severe engine braking, and causes a multiple misfire code, which I was getting mad about because I was like, wow, multiple misfire. That's fucking useful diagnostic data, you know? Um, because a lot of times if you have what I thought happened, which is where a push rod jumps off of a rocker, it will tell you like, oh, cylinder 7, right? It's dead because none of the valves are opening. Well, with this MDS lifter arrangement and the lifters in God knows what positions, the second the MDS tries to activate, it's shutting down random parts of the valve train that are not intended to be shut down, which is why it has such a harsh um, misfire, is because it's shutting down a valve or two that's clearly not intended to be shut down at that current time. Um, and it's just causing a horrible running state. I I mean, yeah, technically it's a misfire, but I wouldn't even call it that at this point. It's a it's a boogeyman in the fucking valve train at this point. So I am so lucky and so excited to pull the entire engine apart again and redo this job and put all the lifters back in the right spot. So that was approximately $120 mistake. There's, I don't know, $30, $40 in gaskets, another $40 in head bolts, and then probably about another $40 in fucking coolant that I had to put through the car. Uh, the oil is also questionable at this point because you can drain the block of antifreeze. There's a plug on the side of the block underneath the headers. Um, and you should do that before pulling the heads off. But in my experience, that and more likely to strip out than it is to come out. So draining the block of coolant for the most part is something that I just assume isn't going to happen. So when you pull the head off, coolant and oil are going to spill out and end up crossing paths, which isn't great. So the oil that's in it is also kind of junk, because we're going to assume that becomes contaminated. So yeah, it's just a very fun process that I now have of getting to do the job a second time, you know, all because I wanted to be a nice brother and rebuild my sister's car. This isn't even like, and I say that sarcastically, like, it's not even like I wanted to do this job, and it's not like I'm a nice person. I just was very aware, like, I've been SOL on cars, I've been rough on money, I know what that's like, but I'm the kind of guy that can always dig himself out of a hole. I'm intelligent enough, or skilled enough, or experienced enough to resolve most of the problems I encounter in my life. My sister is not going to be able to rebuild an engine. She's just not. She's not going to figure that out. She's not going to want to do that. And God forbid, she probably won't do it right if I didn't even put the fucking lifters in the right position. I didn't think about that, and I've built a couple of these engines. I've just never encountered that. Like, I've always deleted MDS on anything I've built, or it just wasn't a factor. It wasn't something that had to get modified when I was working on these cars. Or I do like motor swaps, you know, but the entire engine, I'm not pulling the internals apart. So I simply did this job for her because I thought it was ridiculous for her to have to spend $4,500 to do this. I mean, I've never taken my car to a shop. I don't want to say never, but I've mostly avoided it. I usually take my car in for exhaust because I do not have the capacity to do fab work for exhaust, but that's besides the point. I mean, anything else I will do on my car. So to see a $4,500 bill, I was just like, man, that's stupid. Like that's too much money. Like I'll just do it for you because I think that's absurd. Like I wouldn't pay $4,500 to have that done on my car. That's crazy. Like I just figured I would do it for her, and now we're stuck in this stupid little predicament I got myself in where I have to fix this fucking car. I have to do it a second time. I'm not that happy about it, you know. So, yay me. Very very excited to do that job a second time, you know. And I know one of the initial comments people like to make is like, "Oh, well, it's like your second time doing it. Like it should be easier this time. Like it's not as many headaches." It's like, "No, I've done this job a lot. I've done this job like I don't know, on Hemis, at least like 4 or 5 Hemis. I've done a lot of like car stuff, but like I've worked on this specific platform like 4 or 5 times, and by worked on I mean like extensive, like either engine modification, engine swaps, transmission swaps, things of that nature. So it's not like there's anything that I can speed up or I don't know, make more efficient at this point. You know, it's just it's a frustrating process, especially because I'm very aware of what I'm in for, right? Like it's there is a bit of beauty to doing a job for the first time and a little bit of mysticism to that, which keeps it entertaining. When you've done the same job so many times, I mean, it's just not it's not engaging anymore. And especially to do it for something, excuse me, something that seems so simple. Like, you know, you can justify the work of pulling an entire motor apart to do a cam and lifter job. It's a lot harder to justify pulling an entire motor apart because the stupid multi-displacement system, which arguably is effective, you know, the effectiveness of that is debatable, and it certainly is prone to causing issues with engines at unnecessary points. Like it certainly it's not directly correlated to a shorter engine lifespan, but there's a lot of speculation as to its effectiveness and its impact on long-term reliability. So for that to be the justifying reason as to why this motor has to come all the way apart again, it just makes the job that much more frustrating because it's not the same. You know, when you're pulling an entire engine apart for a large overarching goal, it makes sense. When you have to redo an entire job because 8 out of the 16 lifters have two holes on the side that you weren't aware of, and they're in the wrong slots in the motor, that's just frustrating. You know, I really wish the lifters came with a large white piece of paper that just said, "Hey, idiot, make sure you don't put these in the wrong hole." Now, here's what it does have. There's plastic retainers for these lifters. All you need to know is it's like a guide tray, so it's a little piece of plastic that just kind of makes sure that once all these lifters are in their holes, they don't turn, right? Like they have to be facing like vertically, let's just say. And you want them to stay vertical. So there's a plastic guide tray for that. Now that guide tray says like MDS front, MDS rear. I thought that meant that the plastic piece, like this overarching plastic guide itself, was supposed to go on the front or the rear of the block. I didn't realize when it says MDS front and rear